Now we are.
You can go whenever.
Do you want to start with like a ho 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 ho?
No. Why would I want to start off with a ho ho ho?
Because it would be funny. It's a Christmas episode. It's Christmas Eve. I thought it would be funny.
Insert jingle bells and sounds of people decking their halls. It's the movie date with. No,
I could probably do that. I could find like an old timey Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer jingle and put it for the intro.
Oh boy,
I'm not doing that. I'll have to find a download and illegally download it or some shit. I'm not doing that.
All right. Welcome back, movie fans. If you're not watching Die Hard, you probably suck. It's the movie date with Rob and Zach.
Yeah.
I'm Zach.
Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, and it bothers me that people think that's a funny joke.
It bothers you that masses and masses of people
make
consider
the same
it a holiday
shitty
classic.
joke about because it takes place during Christmas. It's a Christmas, get it? It's a Christmas movie. It's funny because it's not a Christmas movie.
Okay, what would you say about like reindeer games? Takes place during Christmas.
Not a Christmas
festive.
movie.
It's even got reindeer in the title.
It's not a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie. It's up there. It's in like the anti-Christmas movie pantheon, which is what I believe.
The best
Die Hard
Christmas
is.
movie is Elf.
Even The Nightmare Before Christmas, I think you could put up there with those.
That is
two.
it's about celebrating Christmas, which Jay Jackson, our guest here, has active animus towards.
No, the answer is no. I'm good on the whole Christmas thing.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about movies, Jay Jackson?
Do you just celebrate it like culturally? You just like,
No.
get together with family and
Not
eat?
even a little bit. I do it to the extent that my husband does, but beyond that, no. I'm not buying a damn thing. Don't ask me to be jolly. Don't,
No winter solstice.
Nope. Nope.
No Yom Kippur.
No.
Is that
not a ring ting tingling
I'm not
anywhere?
lighting a candle. I'm not humming a carol.
Well, then I
Fair
guess
enough.
it's fitting that
buzzkill?
the movie we're talking about today has no basis in Christmas. It just so happened to drop around the holidays.
Yeah, there are no Christmas movies out in theaters right now. It's
and
weird.
I think it's a great change of pace.
I think it's a mercy.
There's that Kurt Russell Santa Claus movie, which I kind of want to see.
Yeah, but that's on the Netflix.
I know. That's what I said.
Wait, Kurt Russell Santa Claus movie?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a movie or if it's a series, but he plays Santa Claus, and it looks kind of crazy cool.
They even released beard stats. They said it's 70% his real beard. Like they only fluffed it a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you please never again use the term fluff in regards to film references, because you know what that is, right?
Yeah, it's when you fluff your beard.
When you make your penis
Right.
appear larger.
Oh, I thought that was called
Then
the
it-
windsock. Hotel windsock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting into the Christmas spirit.
Zach got me a gift, and I was just gonna give him like a cute little card, like you're my best friend, bitch. Here's $20, and now I'm gonna buy him like a nice jacket or something. So
Happy potty days.
He found that in his storage. You realize that that's the stuff that he was trying to get rid
been
of.
under
it's
my
the thought
bed
that
for
counts.
years.
Zach puts very little effort into a lot of things, so the fact that he took the effort to do that means a lot to me, Jay.
It's heavy, so that's a lot. It's a lot of matter.
That means that it's either very high quality parts or it's made by like an idiot company that didn't know how to like design things ergonomically or whatever.
Oh, look at that design. It's amazing.
It's lots of pinks. It looks like I was saying earlier, it looks like a Faith No More music video.
I didn't buy it. I also got that for free.
It's
Fair enough.
vintage.
Yeah. Well, today we're talking about Zach's leading this episode. I've been very sick these last 2 days, so Zach has the reins.
Got the least amount of cheer, but the most amount of pep. Let's do this. Today we're talking about Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. We don't do a lot of animated features on this show.
Yeah, we've never seen one together except for like Incredibles 2.
We did Incredibles 2. That was
half a superhero movie, so that doesn't count.
Well, this is a whole superhero movie, and it's been getting great reviews, and it kind of like blew open wide open.
Yes.
And it's catching everybody by surprise. You know, people are like, "Holy crap! I didn't know a superhero movie in general could
Yes,
be this."
it's nice to have a superhero movie where Zach isn't bitching about how much he hates superhero movies.
This was a nice reprieve from all of the
Other superhero
slog.
movies that we do.
slog
episodes
of,
on.
of superhero movies from the last 10 years.
To be fair, I do kind of get where you're coming from.
I don't.
I mean,
Don't feed into it.
It's like zombies.
I-
It's like the zombie fatigue thing, man. I've got
They're better movies than those zombie movies. You remember
yes.
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies?
Yes.
It's a terrible movie. But most superhero movies, like 9 out of 10 of them, are real solid or great or something. So like I don't worry about it. I just say like if you don't like superheroes, just like watch the ones you're excited for, and then don't watch the other ones. Of course,
watch
Zach
something with Philip Seymour, the late Philip Seymour Hoffman.
but Zach doesn't have that choice because he's on the podcast. And we have to see all the big tent poles.
But before we get into that, we got some movie news to run by you.
Movie
Top of the hour, man. This is like breaking news as we're recording. Kevin Spacey
Talking to your mic, yeah.
releases a crazy video of him as Frank Underwood.
Or regular Kevin Spacey. We don't know at this point. We don't know at this point.
And he is saying some creepy shit. Saying like, you want me back and all this stuff.
For those of you who haven't seen it, he does a Frank Underwood fourth wall breaking monologue
And it sounds like
to
he's-
nobody apparently.
Right.
He's giving domestic abuse to the entire country now.
No, I'm creeped out by it. Like, if you didn't believe that he was a creep before, like after watching this video, I'm like, yeah, he did that. He did that.
He did it.
Although, I mean, Spacey is one of those people that I guess it was kind of maybe an open secret in the business that he was like that. Which I didn't realize, but now that I think about it, like Family Guy, there was an episode of Family Guy where like one of the cutaway jokes was Stewie running across the floor like, I've just escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement. That was the joke.
Yeah.
And it was like, this was like years ago before all of that dropped.
It's probably just
Well, this is,
innocuous.
This video is coming right before, like within the same day, right before he's getting charged with indecent assault and battery, stemming from an incident that took place
Like 2 years ago, wasn't it? Like 2016.
like a restaurant in Nantucket back in 2016.
Yeah.
And he's scheduled to be arraigned on January 7th.
Yeah. He'll probably get like a fine and do some community service.
No, I think he'll do some time. Actually,
I mean, what was the crime again? Aggravated assault, you said, or whatever.
Felony
Indecent.
sexual assault, right?
No. This isn't for his
Indecent
sexual assault
assault
allegations. This is like a new thing,
Different
apparently.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Because those assault allegations.
And the YouTube video, if you want to go look it up, is entitled "Let Me Be Frank."
Yeah. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. They've already continued. Like, I don't even watch House of Cards anymore, but they've already continued the story.
Yeah.
Like, you're not coming back, man. I'm sorry. I'm actually not sorry. Like, it's like fuck. I don't really care about him.
Nah.
What's weird is like when those sexual assault allegations broke. Like, I went and saw Baby Driver. Like right after that
Yeah, that
happened,
sucked.
he's in that, and I was like, "Ugh." I feel bad for Edgar Wright for being like, I could have cast anybody else.
Yeah.
I could have gotten Gene Hackman out of retirement.
Could have cast that guy from All the Money in the World, man.
Yeah.
Just throw Plummer
The
in
movie
there.
actually,
I was about to say,
Let Plummer do all of Spacey's roles.
yeah, the movie actually did very well despite that hanging over it, which was very surprising. Yeah, he did another movie like less than 6 months ago or whatever, and it made like $450 at the box office.
Yeah.
Which
Good Lord.
I laughed my ass off in the car. It's hilarious.
450
like it was. I don't know if
actual
it was that,
dollars.
It was it was like in the triple digits. It was something pathetic like that because
You're
nobody
shitting
wants to watch him in a movie.
Right,
He's going to be doing
no.
those Millennium films or whatever,
Yeah.
like those kind of direct to Netflix kind of stuff or whatever. He's going to be doing that pretty soon.
For sure. In other news, we got numbers for Aquaman in case you were interested, Rob.
I am interested. You know this. Quit pretending like you're not. It's made over
It made
300.
72.7 million, including Thursday night previews over the weekend.
Yeah.
Domestic.
This is domestic.
Domestic.
Worldwide, it's over
worldwide.
$400 million.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
415,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
and it opened a few weeks ago in China. So.
Yeah, which is weird. Is like the domestic stuff looks like it'll be okay, but like worldwide, it is banking like it's above a bunch of other superhero
That's
movies.
interesting.
So it's gonna make like it has a chance of getting to like the $1 billion club.
Although it also ranks in as the lowest opening weekend of any DC Universe movie.
Domestically, yeah, but it's gonna make bank because people like it.
Over time, I
Yeah.
imagine so.
I mean, it's only been like domestically, like it's been out for about like a week and a half, and it's already at close to like $500 million, and it's gonna be in theaters for like well over 2 months because people like it. And it's gonna like make plenty of money. It's gonna probably get up there past Batman v Superman, which was like $872 million, something like that. Yeah. Did I just take your?
The opening weekend of Batman v Superman was 166 million.
That's true. That is a truth fact.
Yeah. So just in case you're interested in all of that noise,
I am
moving right along.
Yeah. No, we don't have to move along. Jay, are you excited to see Aquaman?
I am. I'm hoping.
You guys are going to go see tomorrow, Christmas Day.
Yes.
Yes.
In fact,
Me,
We're
my
recording
brother
this for you
Jay,
people
his
on
husband,
Yes.
and maybe my ex-roommate Liz and her little tyke. So it's a nice little gathering. I asked Zach to come, and he said no, but I informed him that he still has to watch the movie to do an episode on it.
Here's what's going to happen tomorrow on Christmas Eve. I'm going to be wearing the same pajamas
Tomorrow
I'm
is not
wearing
Christmas
in the studio.
Eve. Tomorrow is Christmas, not Christmas Eve.
Christmas Day. Christmas.
Yes.
You're gonna
The
wear
25th.
You're gonna wear
Yes.
the same clothes.
I'm going to wear the same PJs I'm wearing in your studio.
Nice.
And then I'm going to make a big old breakfast that I'm not going to be able to move for about 3 or 4 hours.
Nice. What are we making?
I'm making
Omelets? Breakfast burrito?
I'm making eggs and sausage and biscuits. I'm just the
I was
works.
hoping you would
The
say making
works.
pancakes.
The
Making bacon.
Making bacon pancakes.
Man, you know I'd be making bacon some pancakes.
Put that New York song over it.
I'm gonna do pancakes
it's in
and
my head now. I
waffles. You
love it.
best believe.
No. I'm not a waffle guy. I don't really like waffles.
All over it. It's where I'm gonna be. Speaking of waffling, our opinions kind of waffling on the Hellboy trailer that was released
It
earlier
looks
last week.
It looks okay. I think what happened is that poster I thought was so cool because if you've seen the poster, it's like him,
Right.
and he's just shredded. And he's got this flaming sword over his back, and it says like, what was the word? Legendary AF. And I was like, that's a cool tagline. I was like, it's gonna be like dark R-rated-y.
Pandering. I don't like it. It's pandering.
After the last
pandering
Hellboy,
to the Gen Zs.
But after the last Hellboy movie, that was a breath, like, because the second Hellboy movie is kind of silly. It's got some Jim Henson-y puppety moments, and I'm like, that does not age well. I like Ron Perlman as Hellboy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think
absolutely.
I like the idea of like a H.P. Lovecrafty superhero. But like I always wanted that, like the way that poster looked was what I wanted to see, and the trailer that we got was like it's a little bit of like it kind of reminds me of like Thor Ragnarok. We know my sordid history with that movie, and it has a little bit of that vibe, and then at the very end, like they start opening up all the actiony stuff, and he looks very impressive, like the prosthetics and stuff on him, and like he has got the cool contacts.
Does he look impressive?
Yes.
Or does it just make you
Plus,
want,
he got ripped for that role
Does it
after
just-
being the fat sheriff in Stranger Things.
does it just make you want Ron Perlman back is what it really does?
No, Ron Perlman said he doesn't want to do it.
Whatever, man. I don't think Ron Perlman needed all that, like as much makeup. I mean, he already just kind of looked like a Hellboy.
He looks, but that's my thing is like I want him to look otherworldly. And like he's
Yeah.
got the sharp teeth now,
Yeah.
and there's like the last shot of the trailer. He's got his horns regrew, and he has the fiery
Right.
demon levitating crown. I was like, that's what I wanted. So like I thought it looked okay. I'm so excited to see it, but that trailer was like it was fine.
I don't know, man. Believe it, the thing that weirded me most out about it was Daniel Day Kim with a British accent. Like I don't know, for some reason,
Yeah.
that was weird and kind of took me out of it. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I will admit I don't know much about like the Hellboy universe. I mean, I know the basics. I know who he is and what he's doing. And
Never read a comic. Never read any one of his comics at all.
Actually, I've read a couple of them actually, but it was not like the type of. Maybe I came in at the wrong point of the story. There were a bunch of references that I wasn't getting. It was a different thing. I mean, the only thing that I'd known of Hellboy up to that point was like the Guillermo del Toro movies.
Yeah.
Which del Toro I miss. I did notice I had this thought watching the trailer, like just visually, stylistically,
It's going to be a lot different.
so different.
Yeah.
Than
Which I think is necessary.
expecting.
I wouldn't want us to see the same thing again. So I think that's perfectly cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to I think it's R-rated. I want to see them I want to see some violence. I want to see some blood and some gore. I want to see him rip some dude's spine out or whatever.
Punch a hole in some.
I want that new Mortal Kombat trailer.
That was brutal.
Yeah.
All right.
Bumblebee.
I say.
Bumblebee tuna.
And this is Zach's seal of approval. You can probably skip it.
But can you, though?
Prejudge much?
But can you? Because people seem to really like it.
They're just digging it because they think it's a fresh coat of paint on an already tired fucking franchise.
That was actually one of the reviews, by the way. A much needed fresh coat of paint on
for
the
real?
tired
hilarious.
Transformers series. It has a 98%. Almost everybody is liking it, which means that it's yeah. I said when I saw the first trailer with
Who's directing it? Who's producing it?
it's not Michael Bay. It's some guy who did he did some indie stuff and then he got the chance to do this. Plus we get 80s Optimus Prime, old school 80s, the old school look of the Transformers, which some people care about. I don't really give a fuck about, but people are excited about that.
Whatever, is Megatron a gun?
I don't know. I don't even know if he's in it.
I think that was going to be my question. Was where in the timeline?
It's before the first movie. It's in the 80s.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Everyone's just all 80s nostalgia right now, and
I
it's
know.
starting to sicken me just as bad as all these superhero movies.
Zach, when has anything that became popular not bothered you? Name one. If you name one, I'll give you $30 right now.
Rubik's cubes.
But that's hipstery popular. That's an old thing that became popular again.
Things
You have to
became
a
popular
modern
that
fad,
no longer
dark
are.
gritty reboots. I know you hate
Crock-pots.
those. Crock-pots.
Crock-pots aren't
I'm talking about in pop culture. I am also a fan of crock-pots.
Things that became popular that I have no problem with.
That became a fad, the dark gritty reboots, or zombies, or as you would say now, superheroes.
Star Wars sequels.
You have to like something, Zach.
I like
And you
something that's
can't just-
objectively bad.
No, I think he just thrives on the salt. Is what
He
it is.
does.
I do like stuff
Check
that
your
is
sodium,
inherently
Zach.
bad. I like. Let me get that off my chest right now. I like the Star Wars prequel films. I
All of
do.
them?
I grew up with those things, man.
Really?
I mean, I got to watch the original trilogy before those, and I'm thankful for it. But a lot of my generation didn't, and they grew up on those fucking prequel movies.
What's the best prequel film in 3, 2, 1? Revenge of the Sith. You were supposed
What
to say
were
it with
you
me.
going to say?
You were supposed to say it with
Because
me.
you've
That's
got
why I did the countdown.
You've got a
Zach.
look on your face that's
It is
I have a
Revenge of the
soft
Sith.
spot for a Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace is a bunch of boring garbage till the last 15
It's got
minutes.
Darth Maul.
Yes.
It's got trade disputes. It's got
That's a negative. That last one you said is a negative.
it's got whole new worlds,
I guess. Yeah, it does.
and it's got Qui-Gon Jinn.
It's got lots of people sitting in semicircles talking about
Qui-Gon Jinn.
garbage.
Don't tell
I
me you
think-
always wanted more Qui-Gon Jinn.
I actually don't hate Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that he's the most incompetent Jedi ever. You ever seen that little YouTube thing where it's
No,
just
I know.
it's at the beginning of Phantom Menace where they compile all of his worst moments where he's like, Obi-Wan's like, I have a bad feeling about this, and he goes, I don't sense anything. I think everything's fine. Right before the door gets destroyed and the people who brought them up to the ship get
You're
horribly
telling
murdered,
me that
and it shows him getting killed by Darth Maul on repeat, and it's he's a terrible Jedi.
I love how
But I do love.
It takes
Qui-Gon Jinn.
the moments from the very first Star Wars and kind of turns them on its head, man. It starts with Jedi, the good guys infiltrating a bad guy ship.
Yep.
It starts with them, busting open or slicing through this door or whatever, and
Yeah.
and taking it by storm. It's it's a feel good thing almost.
Yeah, I actually understand people who do have like the nostalgia for the prequel films. I do think they are overly maligned. I think Attack of the Clones is a garbage movie. It is easily the worst Star Wars movie ever. But
as a whole,
yeah,
yes.
But Phantom Menace, there's like, I mean, Attack of the Clones has lines about like sand.
Right.
The choreography and the fighting is way over choreographed, whereas Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith feel.
Revenge of the Sith has some of the best lightsaber battles in the whole series.
Yes, exactly. And the fight between Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. I still watch it on YouTube from time to time just because I'm like, this is so good.
Yeah.
It's great.
It is. And I want them to bring a little bit of that back to these new movies instead of just chopping wood with Kylo Ren.
But chopping wood.
That's what his fighting style is.
I will say that's kind of what I've missed, and I'll say I'm a fan of the new trilogy. I am.
Me too.
110% down with
Even the
new direction.
Even The Last Jedi.
Yes.
Even Solo.
Absolutely.
We did a glowing review of Solo.
I
liked The Last Jedi a lot more than most people. I'm gonna be honest.
I loved The Last Jedi.
Well, look, it made like 1.5 billion, so somebody out there has to like it.
The fighting and the action set pieces, I think, are the one gripe that I would have. Okay, I have more than one gripe, but they're probably the main gripe.
I always want to just tell people we can go back to like A New Hope, where Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fight, and it's just lightly, gingerly tapping their fake sticks.
Yeah.
And I thought we can go back to that whenever y'all want. I want the whooshy ninja stuff. I think Phantom Menace is a bunch of cool moments strung throughout a boring movie. It starts off strong. We have the cool pod race, which I know people make fun of, but I actually think is dope.
Yeah.
And then we have the last 15 minutes, which is where all the action is sort of corralled into. Yeah. But Revenge of the Sith has like the best Star Wars mythology stuff added to it. We get it has some of my favorite moments in all, like, how many movies are there now? 11? 10? Something like that?
8. Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
It still has its.
we're not counting the Star Wars story stuff, but
No, I am counting those.
Oh.
Yeah. But like, it doesn't just have like great. First of all, like the combat on Mustafar and like seeing like the whole trilogy come to an end. It's the only prequel movie that has a positive rating on RT, which I think is warranted because I think it's the best one. It has the opera house scene, which I think it's the first time George Lucas adds something that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
To the Star Wars mythology. He adds like a tale of the dark side about how this guy could manipulate. It has midichlorians in it, so I kind of sigh whenever I hear that word. But like he says, like he can create life, and it's like it's a scene dripping with atmosphere. There's these low throat singers singing in the background, and it just oozes like this uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
And it's actually like a rare glimmer of like the amazing filmmaker that guy can be.
Yeah.
But then you still have, cringy romance dialogue that isn't very good or whatever. You get Kashyyyk. We get to see Kashyyyk in that big battle.
Yeah, I like the all the war set pieces that happen in really also Attack of the Clones. I'm not gonna lie, it's got some great war stuff, and that's always what I wanted to see in Star Wars was like bigger, land battles, bigger air battles, and those prequel movies definitely deliver on that. Plus, they ushered in like a whole new era of where
Whiny
you could
little
get your
bitches.
Star Wars.
Whiny
They
little
ushered in,
bitches
like,
talking about how George Lucas ruined their life.
They ushered in a bunch of amazing games.
That is true.
And it
Yeah.
opened up the lore, like
Jedi
wide open.
Outcast, Jedi Starfighter.
So you don't just have
All that
like
stuff.
all those like tie-in novels about like what happens to Luke, Leia, and Han like after the fact.
Some of which don't even count anymore.
Now you're getting a much bigger and richer history because of those prequel films, and for that.
Yeah, I don't hate them. I hate Attack of the Clones.
So there's my Christmas present to you, fans.
A thing you like.
Is a love letter to the Star Wars prequel films.
A thing Zach likes that everyone else will light him on fire for.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anyway, Bumblebee seems to be good. I'm actually going to go see it because I want these movies to be good. I want to like Transformers movies, and every time I see a garbage one, I just shake my head. All that money and all that talent going right down the drain.
Yeah.
Zach likes the first one.
I do. I like the very first.
one. No, the very first Transformers. No, I'm with you on that. The first Transformers wasn't bad. I mean, we had We had a strong cast. It was, and I mean,
Back when Shia LaBeouf was actually killing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Acting.
him and Anthony Anderson, and back when when John Voight wasn't as much.
Oh my
of a
God, Anthony Anderson is in that movie. I forgot all about that. He does the donut scene where he eats the donuts as a signifier of his innocence. Anyway, Bumblebee looks good. They think it's the best one so far. So, is there any part of you that is like, I might go see it? That it looks like it could
I
be
kind of
fun?
liked the lead in Glow. When she had a part in Glow, so I guess it'd be worth it.
Haley,
See how
what's her
she's
name?
coming
Haley
up as an actress
Steinfeld?
or an
Steinfeld?
actor.
I can't remember. She's the chick from True Grit.
And
Mm-hmm.
she's also in Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that's right. She plays Gwen Stacy.
Oh boy,
This guy taking your comptrolling job.
it's interesting. We're seeing like a whole another like generation of actors become like big name and stuff. It's no longer like the Brad Pitts and the Johnny Depps and the fucking.
Which is kind of, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of fucking me up because I grew up with
When was the
Brad
la-
Pitts and Johnny Depp.
We're
like,
getting
in the
greats like
90s.
Chadwick Boseman and Lakeith Stanfield and
And don't get me
Mahershala
wrong,
Ali.
Oh,
not
again with the Lakeith Stanfield. He's Black Michael Sarah. Let it go.
Oh, woof.
Not taking anything away from younger actors, but I mean, but I am like
When was the last time you saw Brad Pitt in something? Fury? That
been a
movie
while,
Fury?
to be
I think.
honest with less.
He's in that new Charles Manson Quentin Tarantino movie. I think
Wait, what?
Yeah.
He was in Deadpool 2.
for like five,
Like,
5
like
seconds.
Like, blink
Here's
and
what they
you
need to
missed
do. They need to put Brad Pitt in True Detective.
And I don't even think that was yes, that'd be great. I don't even think that was actually him. I think they just like did a CGI double
No, it
of
was
Brad
him.
Pitt. It really was.
It was him. No, he did it.
It's so weird that he was being considered for Cable in that movie. Would that work? Brad Pitt as Cable?
Now, what I wanted,
If he
I
gets
wanted,
all like Achilles and Troy shredded again, would that
who
work?
I wanted is I wanted the bad guy from James Cameron's Avatar.
Yeah, Stephen Lang.
Yeah.
That guy would be great.
Oh wow,
He would have been-
him as Cable.
He
Okay, I
was-
can
he
see
was-
that.
he
He would have been way
campaigning.
better than
I could see
Brolin
that.
as Cable.
Yeah, he was campaigning for the role too, and he didn't get it. And I was kind of like, oh man,
Yeah.
it's kind
But
of.
what can you do? Another surprise casting that's come out is this movie's doing not as hot as you would think. Vice, the Christian Bale-led Dick Cheney biopic.
Yeah. Are you talking about like critically or like it's not making a lot of money?
On the Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 66.
I mean,
That
that's,
sounds about right to me. That's about what I would have predicted it would be.
Pretty middle of the
how is it
road.
doing money wise though.
Probably not very good. It's going up against Aquaman, the new Mary Poppins,
Well, that's
and
true.
Bumblebee.
Yeah.
It's like at least 5th place. It's making like $3 million a weekend.
So let me tell you the problem I have with
A movie
Vice.
about Dick Cheney?
At least I'm not mad that they're making a movie about it.
They're glorifying him.
You won't be able to know that till you see it, though.
True. From what I'm gathering from the trailers, I get the what I'm gathering is that it strikes me as more of a comedic tone, and I'm old enough to remember. Like
Well, I mean, The Big
When I
Short is
listened to
about
the
one of
album-
the biggest crises in American history, and that's still played up to a comedic effect.
I get that, but it was like, okay, so like I lived through that. Like
Mhm.
I joined the army, like my first enlistment. Up to that point, I enlisted like during like one of the bloodiest months in Iraq. Up to that point, like the conflict had been going on for like 2 years at that point. And I knew people who had been there, done that, lost friends over behind this thing, and basically this whole the whole Bush Jr. administration and all the thing and Cheney coming in and basically making money. It's war profiteering.
And he basically became the president for like a year and a half.
And
Yeah.
so like
George was down on his ranch and Cheney was running the country. That's when we started. That's when we got like the waterboarding memos.
Yeah.
They said like, no, this
Yeah.
isn't torture. We call it, what was it, enhanced interrogation.
So all of this, I mean, I lived through all that, and not only does this asshole get away with it, we get to make a movie and laugh about it. I don't know, something about that to my core. I'm like,
Something
I
I,
agree
think
with
about it
everything you
speaks
said.
to America just as it is.
Yeah.
The fact that we make a movie about this dick and
right, yeah.
I think I agree with everything you said.
Is Adam McKay part of the problem?
That doesn't bother me nearly as much as Christian
out
Bale
next week.
doing this ridiculous method acting.
And that's
Put
what
on
we
a
care
fat
about.
suit, man. Stop trying to blow me away with your ridiculous standards.
Yeah, wait,
he was like 70 pounds in The Machinist. Then he got shredded again for like Batman Begins or whatever. And then he did that movie Hostels where he got skinny and now he's fat again.
Yeah.
Just
He's gonna.
you remember when Christian Bale was like a handsome, like action movie-ish guy? Those days are gone.
Equilibrium. I remember. that.
Equilibrium.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
American Psycho.
American Psycho.
That's what I'm saying, man. Just show up. I miss the days when you could just show up and read your lines. I miss them.
But he looks just like him.
He does look like him.
It's uncanny.
It is
It's
uncanny. I'm
very
just saying,
unhealthy.
it bothers me
Yeah,
that he
I'm
cares
with
that much. Because Sam Rockwell looks nothing like George W. Bush in that trailer.
Are you telling me Josh Brolin looks like George Bush?
More than Sam Rockwell.
Hardly.
Rockwell.
He
Sam
looks like an emaciated George Bush.
Sam Rockwell looks like George Bush's gay brother. Also known as Jeb Bush. We've had a
boy.
bunch of movies where George W. Bush was like, there's a couple movies where someone portrayed him. The Josh Brolin one is funny.
I don't like it.
No, I don't either. But it's like, it looks more like him.
Is that the one where Tandy Newton was in that
Called
one, right?
W.
Yes.
By Oliver Stone.
Yes, Tandy Newton. I remember.
That was the beginning of the end for Oliver Stone, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because after that, it was all a bunch of like Oscar baity drama flicks.
Yeah.
Go back to making war movies, Stone.
Well, that's about all that we have for movie news. You guys ready to get into this Spiderverse?
Yes.
All right. So, according to Google, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse is bitten by a radioactive spider in the subway. Brooklyn teenager Miles Morales suddenly develops mysterious powers that transform him into the one and only Spider-Man. When he meets Peter Parker, he soon realizes that there are many others who share his special high-flying talents. Miles must now use his newfound skills to battle the evil Kingpin, a hulking madman who can open portals to other universes and pull different versions of Spider-Man into our world.
Very well read, Zach.
Pretty lengthy synopsis, but I think it
You
gives
nailed
you
it, baby.
most of what you need to know. Rob, what did you think, or what were your
I
expectations
was about to
going
say,
into this movie?
I thought it was going to be good because I liked the trailers and everyone was freaking out about it. And I was like, it's probably going to be good.
Fair enough.
Your turn.
Sounds like couldn't have said it better. Jay, what were your expectations going into this?
To be honest with you, didn't have any expectations at all. I expected it to be, when I started kind of the thinking about seeing it, I expected it to be very childish.
Yeah, more geared towards like a preteen audience.
Which I
I
would say.
expect, no, by which I mean I expected it to be like geared, like literally for children. Yeah, was the expectation.
You know, nothing nerdy nowadays can be geared just towards children.
Well, I
would disagree with that, but that's fine.
Nothing that's coming out in theaters anyway.
I will say, like going in, I'm not gonna say like the bar was set very low, but I was like, okay, everything I thought was going to be a kids movie, it's gonna be kid stuff, and it totally wasn't. I mean, it's
okay. Let me ask you a question. Did you go into it because you're a Spider-Man fan, or did you buy a ticket just to do this?
I got a ticket to do this podcast. Actually, like Rob bought my ticket, and then I paid him back for it.
Yeah.
But I was pleasantly surprised for it. I am a Spider-Man fan. I grew up reading the comics. So we read. We were a Marvel family, right? So like my mother's comic book collection. I mean, she had. DC.
I like how you just looked at me as he said that, waiting for me to go, ugh. I did not. I like Marvel too, Zach.
We were raised on like on her collection of Spider-Man, Daredevil, X-Men. Those were
nice.
her big titles.
The big ones.
And then like some other things that we had. But I grew up reading Spider-Man and being into
Him mentioning
story.
Daredevil made me really sad because Daredevil was canceled.
Oh yeah, it was.
Son of a bitch.
You know, there's that, but that's what I grew up on. So I was interested in. I'm interested in the lore, the whole Peter Parker. I say Peter Parker because he's the most familiar Spider-Man that we have. That whole mythos and and all of that too, accepting the clone bullshit, but like Maximum Carnage, that was my type of story. It was his whole theme with the symbiote and all of that, like that was all very interesting to me. And as we have throughout the years of getting Spider People movies.
Politically correct podcast.
I mean, we've got women, we've got fucking pigs, we got pig spider people,
We got
Spider ham.
we got mecha spiders, spider mechs.
so we're all over the place.
The idea that Spider-Man is so prevalent in pop culture now that people who've never seen a Spider-Man movie or read a Spider-Man comic can tell you the Spider-Man origin story.
Yep.
That's how through osmosis we've.
And this wasn't your usual run through the park of Uncle Ben dies, great power, great responsibility.
Although that is a line in the movie, which I thought was very funny.
Sure, they
Don't you
they're contractually
say that line to me.
So yeah, this movie, I was positively stoked for it, guys. I saw the trailer back in like the spring or something like that, and have been clamoring to see it all year.
You told me at the end of Venom they show like a few minutes of the movie.
They did,
and I totally didn't know that, and I walked right out of the theater.
Yeah, it is at the end of Venom. That's the second post-credit scene that goes in another universe.
I just thought
you can't just leave the theaters anymore, Rob. Like
I
you
thought
almost left it when we left.
Yeah, I did. I was like, "There's not going to be a post-credit scene."
And I think that the way they do,
I didn't even think the post-credit scene was that
good.
good. To be honest with you, it's like it's fine, but it's not worth me sitting in the chair for 5 more minutes.
I was stoked about the animation style, stoked about how it was presented, all of it. So yeah, I was actually hoping to like not be disappointed walking into this.
God, that's so nice to hear Zach say something like that.
Yeah, it exceeded my expectations greatly.
This is a rare moment on the podcast right now. This is like a blue eclipse or something. Zach being excited for something,
and then getting what I want,
getting what he wants,
and more. It delivered way
I'm
beyond.
very tempted to just shit all over this movie just to spite him, but I won't because I think it's great.
Well, what I thought about the movie, spoiler free, is I can sum it down into like pretty much one sentence. I thought it was the best animated feature that I've enjoyed since the original Shrek.
I hate that you say that.
Why?
We did this.
We're talking almost 20 years of animation
last
here.
time,
and I
hate that Shrek is the movie that he chooses because I don't think Shrek holds up.
Shrek was seminal, dude. It was a big thing in animation.
When you watch it, but when you watch it now, like the Matrix jokes, it does not hold up.
No.
The second one is even better to me. Like I think Shrek 2 is a way better.
What I want to
movie.
know is what movie would you put in that?
How to Train Your Dragon.
Blank? Since How to Train Your Dragon?
That's a great movie. I just think like you picked the weird. I don't disagree that this is a great animated movie. I'm just weird that you picked Shrek
and I think
as your
it's the
benchmark.
best Spider-Man movie ever made.
No, I'll say as far as
Kung Fu Panda is an amazing animated movie.
It
is great. You shut your mouth.
Of revolutionizing animation. Probably
and what you could do in the animation, just
and what
like
you could do with animation.
I would say How to Train Your Dragon does more. Do you remember that scene where they're falling in the air and he has to get on Toothless and they go through the rocks and stuff? That was like amazing. Like, what's the most amazing piece of animation?
I'm talking about in
Shrek?
ways, in terms you can move your story. What's allowed in an animated feature?
Well, that's not what he was saying.
I'm not saying that How to Train Your Dragon. I'm not saying the animation sucked. I'm saying that. In terms of revolutionizing how we watch the movie, like the animation style in Into the Spider-Verse is almost a plot point. Like you almost couldn't tell that story
without it looking like it does.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Especially when it gets to the the climactic scene, but interwoven all throughout.
The animation is definitely strong and very crazy and psychedelic looking, which I like a lot.
It's just I want to know more about like.
Well, they essentially made like the movie 3 different times.
Okay.
From what I gathered from reading about it,
rotoscoping.
Yeah, tons of just weird, what seems like to be unnecessary stuff. But these are the same guys that brought you like the Lego Movie. No, I'll take that back. Since the Lego Movie, because it looks like stop motion, but it's not stop motion.
That is a much better movie, and I have no problems with that. The Lego.
I never saw
the Lego Movie is what Shrek wishes it was.
The Lego Movie does a lot of cool things where it looks photorealistic.
Or even like the Lego Batman movie is better than anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of amazes you because
Even
it looks,
the Lego Ninja Go movie was better. No, I'm kidding.
it looks photorealistic, like it's done stop motion, but it's all computer generated.
Yeah, it's really smooth.
And they use a lot of really weird and specialized techniques to make it look that way.
It does that, and yet Into the Spider-Verse still does a really great job of. I mean, it never loses that comic book feel.
No,
it's
the whole movie feels the most comic booky than any superhero film that I've ever watched, really.
I don't know if I agree with that.
And that's because I think it takes a lot of liberties in what it can do with the animation.
Yeah, it's definitely the most comic booky animated film. I'll go that far, but there's not that many of those either. So we like it. Let's talk about other things that we like about it.
I like that it pulls in a vast amount of Spider-Man lore, and it doesn't really require you to know all about it. It doesn't really hold your hand either. It moves at
For
such a good pace for you to just kind of accept and move on and absorb the story.
For someone who knows the least
there's
about
not a lot of pandering or hand holding.
Yeah, for someone who knows the least about Spider-Man of the people in this room, and I know probably more than your average dude off the street, I wasn't lost for any of it.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, who's that? What's happening?
Right.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that a little bit as far as the lore. I mean, we understand. I mean, we of course understand who the seminal characters are. We know, Kingpin. We know Doc Ock.
Yeah, but characters like Spider-Gwen, or you may be familiar with character Gwen Stacy, but this is not, that character that you've probably been introduced to before. This is in another universe, a pretty newer kind of character.
Yeah.
You got characters like Spider-Man Noir, who only ever appeared in a run of
Voiced
7
by
comics.
Nick Cage, by the way,
which
which
is
was great.
And that's what I was gonna say too. I love
Man,
the
he needs the
cast.
cash.
I love the voice cast on this movie.
Me too.
Not huge. We're not talking about Tom. We got Tom Hanks in our movie or anything, but we've got
Jake Johnson.
Jake Johnson is the Spider-Man 616 Spider-Man. That
Peter
was
B.
actually
Parker.
confirmed. Peter B. Parker in the movie is actually
Before you finish
supposed
that-
to be the main continual Spider-Man.
Really?
Yeah.
Before you finish, we have a bunch of different Spider-Mans and Women's in this movie. Out of all of them, including Miles Morales or even classic Peter Parker, which one is your favorite? I'll go first.
In terms of just
which character do
their
you like the most?
character in the movie.
I like-
movie or just in general.
Well, just in this movie, I like Peter B. Parker the most. I thought he had the best kind of character-y stuff.
Yeah, he's got the biggest arc. He's got the most screen time besides Miles Morales.
I'm gonna say it's the Morales character. I because again,
Had you been introduced to that character before, Jay?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No, I knew who Miles Morales was before going into the movie. I think that they did a really great job of pinning down that character in terms of him being a fresh face. He doesn't. We see him, kind of growing. He's been given this new power and these new abilities, and all of a sudden the whole great power means great responsibility. That whole thing, he's trying to own up to that. That's one of the thematic elements in the movie. Is that
I should also say that me and Jay started the movie like the movie was going when we walked into the theater.
yeah,
So we missed like the
I think
first.
we only missed like 3.
Yeah, we
4
missed like the
minutes.
first 1 or 2 minutes of the movie.
Yeah,
probably.
it wasn't.
It
we didn't
starts
miss a
off
lot.
in like my name is Miles Morales, doesn't it, or something like that, or it starts off with like that intro, right?
I think it actually starts off.
Jeez.
I think it actually starts.
What?
Off with Peter
Shaking
B.
my
Parker.
head so
What?
hard right now.
I was coming from a funeral.
It's
right
one
to
of-
the
was.
movie theater.
He was.
I was
No, he was-
sharply dressed.
He was very sharply dressed. And
Not
he was-
taking your
he was
guilt
the
right now,
sharpest
Rob.
dressed man
you
in
can
that
you'll
theater.
take my guilt and you'll be thankful for it.
It does start out with one of the better openings of a superhero movie I've seen, where he it just starts out with the hi, I'm blah blah blah.
Right.
It does the whole thing, but then issues down to Miles Morales' level, and so the without getting too spoilery, the beginning of the movie just kind of sets up Miles's journey. Is there's already a Spider-Man in his world,
Right.
You know,
Yes.
that
It's
Spider-Man,
Regular Peter Parker.
which who you think is just what we know as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he's super successful.
who was
been
also
doing it for a
very good,
while,
too.
and then
Played by Chris Pine, actually. That's Spider.
and he
Is he really?
he
Yes.
fucking dies, man. He fucking dies.
Spoilery, man. I thought you.
Well, you already spoiled that, but yes, he dies, and I thought it was pretty great. Not like that he dies, but
I'm
how
just
he,
setting it up, man. This is not the chunk of the movie.
Fair
I
enough.
said, when that happened too, I was like,
Ugh.
"Holy shit! Did they just kill Peter Parker?" Did
It's
that?
weird that how it happens too.
Yeah.
Because I was like, Spider-Man can lift a bus. This guy's just a big dude. Why is this able to happen?
But anyway, that's what sends Miles Morales on his journey, and he has to
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
figure out
We'll get to that in a second.
how to
Yeah, yeah,
become Spider-Man with no Spider-Man to train him or figure out how to do it. He never had. He's got to fill these shoes, man. Not just learn to become a superhero.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I
He's
never.
spilling the air.
He's jumped right into the middle of it.
His universe's Spider-Man role, like that is his. That's a tall order.
It's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
It's
No
very
matter.
heavy.
No matter what superhero.
Like, think about if you were watching Incredibles and the synopsis was to Incredibles was Mr. Incredible dies. Bucky, you've got to, or whatever his name
Bucky?
is, Syndrome.
Winter Soldier.
No. Incredible
Buddy.
lad.
Buddy.
Yeah, Buddy. Buddy, you've got to be fucking Mr. Incredible now. That's what this movie is.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And no matter how many superhero movies I see, I that part never gets old. The young, like, not even it doesn't even matter if it's a younger superhero. It can be like any like run of the mill superhero. Them learning their powers is always entertaining. In fact, I can't think of a movie where I have to be like, oh, we have to have another montage of them. Like, I can't think of any of them.
Did this movie have a montage?
No, but like the process, like, remember like the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie where he's like, go Webb, go, and he's
Right,
like learning
yeah,
how to
yeah.
do his powers. Those are all, whether they're really serious or really fun, they're always entertaining. I've noticed that about all these movies. I'm never bored.
What about movies where you're getting introduced to characters that you, quote, haven't seen before, unquote, but they already like know how to use all their powers and are already adept
That just
at
makes
everything.
it better because
Like Guardians of the Galaxy or something. Like all of those characters. There was no like.
well, they're not really superheroes.
Yeah.
They're just like ne'er do wells
it's
or
kind of
whatever.
a different thing. I mean,
But like, I think if you juxtapose an experienced superhero with an experienced superhero, it just makes it better.
Which is kind of why I want to see
because
that
you want-
Shazam movie. Like that looks like
yeah.
such a fun ride through
Which
the.
apparently, some tiny bit of movie news. We're getting a new trailer for that early January. So
okay.
yes, Yes.
To be honest with you, I'm not really impressed with Shazam so far.
go
I-
fuck yourself.
Maybe another
Jay.
maybe another trailer will change my mind.
I thought it was great. You're both bastards. No, but I don't think there's any movie I've seen like a superhero movie where like the learning the powers part, whether it's done like seriously or fun, like in this movie, it's always enjoyable. Like even like in Batman Begins, where he doesn't have superpowers, him getting his gear together and like
Right.
And some of those
formulating-
scenes in this movie, Into the Spider-Verse, are downright hilarious and
Yes.
just a fucking romp
Those
that you
pigeons-
just
those-
want to frolic into.
Yeah.
Yeah, those pigeons, man. Those pigeons falling in.
Damn pigeons.
Anyway, Let's talk about like characters, because there's like one of the cool thing about this movie is you get like all these different flavors of Spider-Man. I don't think that's a spoiler to say. They all have a cool different flavor, and even the only one who I didn't think was particularly like enjoyable or engrossing was like the Spider-Mech. Thought she was fine.
Oh, Penny Parker.
Yeah. I thought Spider Pig. Is it John Mulaney?
Spider Ham.
Yeah.
He was a spider bitten by a radioactive pig.
Yeah. I thought he was interesting. I thought the noir Spider-Man
that was my favorite one, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think he had the best lines.
The funniest jokes. Yeah.
I was gonna say I think it's the way Nick Cage played that role.
Yeah,
he played him like
funny.
Nick Cage would play a noir character.
Yeah, we were talking, and I even like the it's like the little jokes he has, like down to like the Rubik's cube. Even when he like picks it up, it goes from being colored to like black and white. So he like, I just wonder if he can't figure it out because all the colors look the same. My favorite joke, small spoiler here, was when they're in the secret hideout. And he goes,
and it smells like rain.
There's all sorts of stuff, but there's two jokes, and like that's the first time they meet Noir Spider-Man and Jake Johnson Spider-Man. The Peter B. Parker goes, "Why is his coat flapping? There's no wind in here." And then right after that, they have a talk about
I take the wind with me everywhere. I go.
And they have a talk about, is Miles Morales ready to be Spider-Man or whatever, and you hear them whispering like, and then he leans over and goes, he's looking at us right as we're talking about it. That's pretty good. He has the best jokes.
Tons of stuff like that in here. You even get to see the can we call it big screen? Can we call it big screen debut?
Yes, because
of the Night Prowler character.
Yeah. The Prowler. I hadn't seen him before. Yeah. Is
they call him Ultimate Prowler in this because
I wanted to ask you about that as well. Like this movie, when we see Miles Morales' universe, we see different versions of Spider-Man villains, like Green Goblin.
We see different versions of everything.
Yeah.
So everything in this universe is not quite as it would be in our universe, and there's a giant list of spoilers.
But they're the same,
of Easter eggs you can look up online.
Yeah, but they're the same villains,
we're talking
though.
Deep references.
But they're the same villains, though. Like it's still the Green Goblin, but instead of riding a glider, he's a giant. Creature,
and these would be calls back to the Ultimate Spider-Man line.
Yeah, but what I was going to ask is like, is that the way the Prowler usually looks, or is that like a souped-up new version of him? Because I don't know.
It looks like a combination of classic look and souped-up newer look.
Okay, cool.
Because
cool.
the Miles's universe does take cues and kind of root itself in the Earth 1610, I believe, which is the Ultimate line of Marvel comic books.
I don't know what that number is.
I know. I follow. Continue.
And that's where we see Miles Morales' inception in that line of comic books. His Peter Parker in that world does die, and he has to take up the mantle. Then, I forget what arc happens, and it fuses those universes together. Now you have Miles Morales transferred to the main Marvel continuity of Earth 616.
Okay, enough deep cuts. Let's talk about the movie.
I actually followed all of that, Zach.
I agree. Let's talk about some more stuff in the movie so we can get into spoilers, because we got a lot of spoilers to cover. Is there anything bad in the movie that you didn't like? Anything, or that you thought didn't work as well as it should have?
So you kind of alluded to this a second ago. I was not a fan. I thought the choice of Kingpin as like the big bad of the movie.
Yes.
That was a little odd.
Was a little odd.
Plus he looks ridiculous.
I thought his design was fucking
comically over exaggerated.
Yeah, I think his design
like
is
40
very
people.
weird. I think his power set in the movie, as far as the movies is concerned, is not like what I would expect it to be.
Well, think about it. That's not the Kingpin that you're used to seeing.
Exactly.
That's true.
That's Miles Morales' universe.
And
that's definitely not the Green Goblin you're used to.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm willing to give it a pass because you're right, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, if this is the this
is not your dad's Spider-Man, Jay.
It's probably your son's Spider-Man or something.
Probably.
I get it, but I mean, and the Kingpin that I've always known has always been stout. I get it, but he's never been able to he's not like what I would consider like being able to throw buses at Spider-Man.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what I mean?
a little whack.
Yeah. So
and also that since we already spoiled it, Peter Parker dies, that was the part where I was like, Spider-Man is like, I feel like some movies play fast and loose with his power levels.
Yeah.
Like there's a part in like not Captain America Civil War, the other one, Spider-Man Homecoming, where Iron Man says if Cap wanted to take you out, he could have. And I was like, I don't know about that. Remember that part in Civil War where he throws the thing at him and he knocks out the giant bus or whatever above his head and he just grabs it. And I was like, Captain America can't do that shit. If he's strong enough to hold up a bus, he could throw Captain America.
I think
into
Captain
a
America
wall.
and Spider-Man are about on the same power level in terms of
If
strength.
we're talking MCU,
That's
Spider-Man can lift like a sedan.
Spider-Man can lift like way more than that.
Yeah.
Like it depends on which version, but I've seen like he can lift several metric tons or whatever. Captain America is like a man plus a little extra.
right.
Mm.
I mean, he's obviously strong enough to like keep a helicopter from taking off.
Like
but
in
he's got
yeah,
that.
and Captain America Civil War, he kicks a car into a dude, like
Right.
and it moves like 3 feet. So he looks like he was really kicking the shit out of it. So like if he's that strong, my point is, I'm always sort of in limbo in between any Spider-Man movie. It's like how powerful they are. Because comic book Spider-Man, there's a comic where he beats the shit out of Kingpin in prison.
Yeah.
And he's like, I could kill you right now, but I'm not going to because
Right.
you've been basically made my bitch here. And you're not gonna have any cred when you get out of here. And one day I will come for you and kill you, but it's not gonna be today. And it was just like when Spider-Man is really powerful. Is my point. And like when Kingpin kills him by just having a temper tantrum, I was like, I don't know if I.
There's actually a point in
like that.
Superior Spider-Man. Where,
It would have been cool if he like just pulled out a gun and like shot him.
There's a point in Superior Spider-Man where Doc Ock becomes Peter Parker or whatever.
Yeah, you told me.
And
You
the
told me
first
about
time he
this.
fucking punches a guy, he like has to. It was like, oh shit. So Spider-Man's been pulling his punches for fucking 30 years or
Exactly.
whatever.
Yes. With regard to the Captain America comparison, I think as far as the MCU, I think of it in that, and at that point, Peter hasn't been Spider-Man for very long.
Yeah. Also, all of the MCU characters are sort of scaled back. Like comic book Thor. Comic book Thor is way more powerful than MCU. Thor.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Except for maybe like Infinity War, he seems to like he's like legit Thor now or whatever. But most of the characters are scaled back a little bit.
that, but also like the Tom Holland Spider-Man at that point at the fight in the airport, like he's not fully aware of how strong he is.
That's true.
Maybe.
He's still kind of figuring it out too.
Yeah. Anything you didn't like, Zach? Anything that you were like? "Meh." I'll add another piece of nuance. Anything that you thought was just fine.
You're like, I.
No, man, I think this movie does like so many things well. I love the relationships with his parental figures.
Yeah.
All of that's fucking well written.
That I love you joke cracked me up.
I love how they handle his biracial
That's a copy.
identity, of him being Puerto Rican and
Yes.
black and stuff.
Yes, I love that.
How they handle like him having a cop dad. That's all played off very well.
I also like his uncle.
Oh,
Yeah, the relationship with the Aaron, I forget his last name, whatever.
Aaron Morales.
Yeah,
Aaron Davis.
yeah, Aaron Davis.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah. Because he has his mother's name, but that's not the point.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah,
I think all these
that
things
was
are done really well, and I think a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds can appreciate this Spider-Man on a bigger level because it's not just like the same thing. It's a much fresher, more. I don't want to say inclusive, but yeah, definitely inclusive take on the character.
Yeah, and at that and like.
I mean, one of the Spider-Man is literally a pig person. So it's hard to get
Well,
more inclusive than
I'll
like
tell you-
species that don't even exist yet.
A large part of Spider-Man is like the friendly neighbor. I think we mentioned this like I'll talk about like briefly after we saw it. This was the first Spider-Man I felt like brought Spider-Man or even just the concept of Spider-Man down to the street level. I felt like Miles Morales, he's from Brooklyn. He's a kid from Brooklyn. And I felt like this was Brooklyn. Like this is how a kid in his situation would feel. And being immersed in his world New York City is as much a character in this movie.
Yeah. New York City is really spoiled in all these Marvel movies. All these superheroes in like 12 square blocks. The rest of the country is riddled with super crime.
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
But it really does a great job of bringing that to street level. And yeah, the stakes get high, but at the same time, like it's like this Miles Morales is a kid from Brooklyn. He's a kid from the street who's trying to deal.
So you're
with,
saying it makes the probably one of the most relatable superheroes ever to exist, like even more relatable. How is that possible?
I think this is the first Spider-Man movie we get to see that relatability portrayed in such a real way, dealing with the death of a family member. Yes, we get it. We see Uncle Ben die in the Tobey Maguire movies. Got it. But it still kind of felt like, okay, I'm watching a movie. And like Into the Spider-Verse, I felt that. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's very human.
Yeah, I always say like any movie, and Zach, I'm gonna see if Zach can actually guess this. Like the one thing that puts movies over the edge for me, what is it? It's a body part. Heart. I have to have heart in these movies. That's why I don't like Thor Ragnarok, because it's heartless. It's just jokes.
Really?
Yeah, it's just all jokes.
It's pretty heartless.
Yeah, it's all jokes and no.
This movie.
But this
gets
movie
you in
has
the
heart
chest.
for days.
All right.
It gets
Like
you
no
in
one
the
is
chest.
no one is different by the end of Thor Ragnarok. They're just like a bunch of jokes have happened. I don't think it's horrible, but I'm just saying but this movie has heart for days.
Yeah. Okay.
His relationship with his dad,
I'm with
his relationship with Peter B. Parker, even the short time he has with regular Peter Parker, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
And his relationship with his uncle, he has all these opportunities. Yeah, he has all these opportunities to like become very endearing to people, and
fucking pulls it off with shining colors.
Yeah.
I think I don't even know how many people wrote this script, but it's
like 2 or 3. Phil Lord and Chris.
I'm surprised.
Phil Lord and Chris Miller were producers on it, and I think there were like 2 directors or whatever, which is actually common for a lot of animated movies. There's a lot of people working on this thing. Avi Arad, who I don't like because he ruins everything he touches. He's the guy responsible for why I think Venom is terrible. Is that guy?
Well,
and he's the guy who made Sam Raimi do Spider-Man 3 and be like,
after the
put in Venom and Sandman and all that stuff.
After the disappointment that was Venom, I really this is good.
Yeah. But he actually produced something great here, so kudos.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Venom yet, so don't get away from me.
Yeah, we're not.
I still haven't seen
it's fine.
Just listen to our podcast on it, and let us be your movie.
Zach gets on his fanboy soapbox, which is always my favorite Zach, his fanboy soapbox zap. It's like when I talk about Superman, it's that, but for Zach.
So, are you not to derail, are you a Superman fan?
Yes.
Oh, that's canon for this podcast.
Yes.
Now. Is the canon of Rob.
Am I sensing some Superman shade?
That's another conversation, because one day you and I are gonna have a debate about why Superman fucking sucks.
Superman does not suck. Superman is seminal.
It's horrible.
The fundamental superhero. Without him, you have nothing.
Awful.
He is the house upon which superheroes are built, sir.
Maybe back in the 30s that was.
Get out of my house.
The house that Krypton built, I suppose.
Look, let me put it this way. Superman, like any superhero, can only be good if he is written by people that get why he's good.
That's fair.
Mark Waid writes a great Superman.
That's fair.
Grant Morrison.
I love Mark Waid. Yes.
Yeah, Grant Morrison writes sometimes a good Superman, but he also writes like weird, kind of otherworldly, silly stories and stuff. So, there's probably Spider-Man comics written by people where you're like, I don't like this. I don't like what this guy's doing. I think the people that want Superman to be this shining, and look, I agree with the shining beacon of hope, but the people that want Superman to be this kind of Christopher Reeves set in stone Boy Scout, that's never been my experience reading him in the comics. He's always been a very pragmatic and a very human superhero because he has all the powers of a god, but all the faults of a man. He cannot see his own death, so he cares about all the things we care about. I forgot to pick up my dry cleaning. Fuck. Oh, this article I'm writing for the Daily Planet. I hope Perry likes my writing. Like, he cares about the same things that a human being would care about.
I'll tell you the times that I like Superman. If we're talking about,
He's gonna say like
grounding.
Superman Returns. He's
No,
gonna
no, no.
explode my head.
The times that I like the Superman stories that I like are
Him and Lois dealing with relationship problems.
Oh God.
no, not even those. I like the ones.
Even
where
those, there are ways to
Superman
do that better.
is
But,
brought to a human level. I don't mean that he's been depowered necessarily.
although I would say that's when Superman got good, though.
But I mean, like when you say, as you put it, like when he cares about the shit that we care about,
Yeah.
like or when the character is turned on its ear, like Injustice. Great fucking story, best Superman
Yeah.
story.
Makes me cry every time I read it.
Yeah,
Especially the part where he kills Green Arrow horribly.
absolutely.
I was like, Jesus Christ, Superman.
I was like, because that's the thing. Because like we would get mad from his perspective. Green Arrow was threatening his dad,
Yeah.
and
And then he beats him to death
beats
with
him
his
to
bare
death.
hands.
You know, and so I mean that's a reaction that we would have.
But you also weep for Superman.
When he's brought off of the pedestal of he's the high and mighty alien coming to tell humanity how to live
Yeah.
and be the shining example of who would fuck you,
Yeah.
Superman.
That's
Who are
the
you?
that's what I call sort of like the sort of the classic Superman, which I'm not saying I don't like classic Superman. I think people misinterpret classic Superman. You remember when
that's fair.
you remember when Superman like fought Muhammad Ali and he could like shoot little versions of Superman outside of himself?
What?
Like what? Yes.
What?
Because writers didn't really know what to do in the 70s. They just said he can do anything. And then in like the 80s, John Byrne started writing him and he said, "All right, we're getting rid of all the silly powers. We're going to bring his power scale down a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going to get rid of we're going to make him the last son of Krypton again. No more Kryptonian villains." And it sort of grounded him. And that's when I started liking Superman. It was like the 80s onward.
Yeah, when that started happening. Well, you know, Spider-Man's always
Zach
been
is
that way.
losing his patience right now.
Well, that's why I'm kind of segueing it back to what we were talking about, because Spider-Man has always been grounded. He's always been that, you know, that kid from New York. I mean, in the newest game, there's a scene where you're like having to like collect your laundry or collect your
Like Superman, the stuff that you relate to him.
dumpster.
Yeah.
You know, like Superman. Like when did Superman ever have to do that? Like he's Superman, but like Peter Parker / Miles Morales or Gwen, whoever, they've always had to deal. Spider-Man has always had to deal with
Everyday shit.
Yeah.
with loss, with rent being due, struggling and letting the people around him that he loves most down.
There's been a lot of Spider-Man movies.
What is on your hand? Did you hurt yourself?
Yeah, this is a Christmas bandage.
What did you do?
I need stitches, but I managed to work it out.
Zach,
Managed to work it out. What does that mean?
give me your hand.
I cut myself on a glass
Okay.
at work the other day.
You just be careful.
It's not a big deal, guys.
It's
Okay.
not a big deal.
I was just about to
You
name
work-
drop your work, and I was like, I'm not supposed to do
all
that.
right. I just want to. All right. So if you didn't know, Zach works at a
Don't-
lab,
Oh, okay.
and cutting
His other
cutting
job, he got
yourself
really
at a
uptight
piece-
about, and I had to edit it out. So.
at a piece of you cutting yourself on a piece of glass at a lab. We could be looking.
Get superpowers.
You could get superpowers.
What superpowers would I want? Is that what you're getting? Is that what you're getting at?
Power to be invisible.
I would go with probably some sort of telepathy.
Really?
Would it be like straight up brainwashing, or are we talking like subtle manipulation? Like you make someone
Let's
turn
just go with
left
the
on the road?
standard, with the standard of all telepathy, like the metric of Professor X.
Fair enough. I always like the
Just go with
telepathic.
that.
I always like the kind of not Killmonger. What's the guy from Jessica Jones?
Oh, Kilgrave.
Kilgrave. Not Kill. I was thinking Killmonger from Black Panther. Yeah, I always like the people who can like.
Yeah, but you
they're-
can't read minds. He can just
I know, but I'm talking about,
influence
like,
other people.
a type of telepathy where you can make people want to do a thing without taking away their agency.
With
You
the
kind
power of suggestion.
Yeah, it's like I'm going to turn left on this road, but I don't know
You want to be a
why.
hypnotist, Rob? Is that what you want to be?
Yes. I am a Scientologist, and I'm going to scan your thetan levels.
Well, there's been a lot of Spider-Man movies.
Let's get into spoilers.
Okay.
Where would you rank this in the pantheon of Spider-Man movies?
So my favorite Spider-Man movies are, in no particular order, Homecoming, Spider-Man 2, and I kind of like the first Amazing Spider-Man. It's okay. I think those three are like my favorite. I think it's probably Homecoming, Spider-Man 2, and then probably Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay. What about you, Jay?
And I would probably put this like right around Homecoming. I don't know if it's weird because I love watching live action movies because then I get to feel like that's really Spider-Man right there. And it's just like it's like a double-edged sword. When it's in animation, you can do crazy things you'll never be able to do in like a live action movie, which I actually have some of those in my notes that I think are really cool. But when I see a live action version, it's like as close as it'll ever be to like being like a real thing to me. So I don't know. It's kind of like unfair for me, but I would put it like probably just below Homecoming.
I'm actually I actually agree with Rob pretty much for the most part. I think my original ranking was probably like Homecoming Spider-Man 2 and Amazing Spider-Man. I'd probably put that. I would put Into the Spider-Verse at number 1. I think
I would too.
only because as good as Homecoming is, I think Homecoming is a fantastic movie.
Yes.
I thought Spider-Man 2 was a really great movie, but there's
Am I the only one who likes the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man more than Spider-Man 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
So.
I don't hate that movie, but
No,
it's a little corny.
It's a good movie, but
And everything about that movie got better in the second one.
there's
for me.
and that's one of the reasons why I'm ranking Into the Spider-Verse but higher than at least Spider-Man 2 because that melodrama that is still there where it kind of like
I am Spider-Man. No more.
It's
heavy.
It's a little ham-fisted.
It's gilding the lily.
Yeah, and Homecoming, as great as it is, the only thing that puts Into the Spider-Verse above Homecoming for me is the animation, straight up.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
Homecoming has like one of the best villains though.
Oh
Michael
my
Keaton's so good in
God,
that.
I cannot
Just
wait.
that evil car ride to the school where he threatens to murder him, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
I want to put together a list on my website of Marvel characters that I hope are in Avengers Endgame. The top of my list is.
Oh, we forgot movie news. Spider-Man: Far From Home set footage. We see Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio.
Yeah. I want to see.
It looks
Michael
fine.
Keaton as Vulture in Avengers Endgame. I hope that he's there. I hope
never
Why
happened.
would he be there?
Huh?
Why would he be there?
He could be dead after that snap.
He could be, but he could also be there because if you think about it, like, I mean, you've got heroes who are getting ready to mount an offensive against the forces of Thanos, which, by the way, they're still out there. He's still got people out there.
We didn't even talk about that trailer.
So who better to go up against the Chitauri
Fine.
than someone who was familiar with Chitauri technology?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, like so.
Yeah, but he's in jail. They're not going to let him out.
Okay,
He's in jail.
I'll grant him
Not
this.
that
He
it
could
matters
probably
after-
get like a
after the
cameo
snap,
in dealing with that, I guess. But
I hope they find a way of working it. Michael Keaton, for one, Michael Keaton's one of my favorite actors of all time. Like he's in my top 20. He's just a.
I don't even have a top 20. I should probably sit down and do something like
He
that.
might. I haven't sit down and hash it out. He might be in my top 10. Shit, I don't know. Johnny Dangerously. I mean, hello.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
Let's talk about spoilers. Let's go into spoilers. I thought that the stuff with the Prowler and the part where the Prowler figures out Miles Morales is Spider-Man and the part where Miles Morales figures out his uncle is the Prowler were both really good.
Yeah.
Especially the part where like Miles takes off his mask and Aaron sees it. I thought the Prowler stuff with his uncle and stuff was gonna fall like on its face. It's actually like some of the best parts of the movie. Yeah. Like as far as like the heart.
when those things happen in those superhero movies, like the figuring out the secret identity and all this stuff, like that was handled probably in the best way I've ever seen it handled. Like there's no kind of soap opera cliche
better
way
than
that
Spider-Man 1 where the Green Goblin figures it out.
Yeah,
I can't even remember how that happens. Something about he hurts his arm. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I like how at the end of Spider-Man 1, Sam Raimi goes back to his horror roots and they have that gruesome fight in the graveyard or whatever, wherever they are.
Yeah.
And he tries to like stab him to death with that thing. Very good.
I think that's the best part of the original Spider-Man movie is the Green Goblin's character.
I was kind of mad at myself.
It doesn't bother you that he's got that big Power Rangers helmet instead of like the classic goblin face.
No,
I mean, Willem
because I
Dafoe
feel
is
like-
a literal goblin man. and
Because
we
I
never-
feel like that was the start. That was the genesis of us trying to bring more realism to superhero movies. Maybe
probably
not
true.
realism in a sense, but making like these costumes and what would be otherwise just spandex.
Sure.
More of something we would actually see.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I was a little
Like
mad
it
at
paved the
myself.
way for the Batman thing.
Yeah. I was a little mad at myself for not having figured out that Aaron Davis was the Prowler.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
I was like,
Well, I mean, unless you're
I should've
already
seen that.
versed.
Like I should have seen that coming though, you know. And I, like when it happened, I was like, oh snap, he is the Prowler. I forgot that
And
was
right, for those who don't know, it creates genuine surprise, and you don't see it coming, and
Yeah.
it's great writing, in my opinion.
Yeah. And also like when his God, I can't remember the exact thing that he says, but like when he dies in front of Miles Morales or whatever, and he tells him like he's a good kid or whatever, and then his dad stumbles on it, and it's just like there's a lot of like real soap opera-y emotions going on. A lot of people dying, a lot of like real sort of roiling humanity that I really like in these kinds of movies. So.
Mm-hmm.
That's the emotional stuff that I like the best. But there's like even like the
It really nails being like an awkward teenager really well.
yeah, even to the point where you get like cool, funny little monologues from like Miles Morales' perspective. Like when he's walking down the hallway, he's like, he knows, she knows, he knows, she's tall, he knows, she knows, little things like that. That was cool. It's weird that you're not laughing right now because I thought you would have loved that.
Oh, I did like it in the movie.
Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. The cool moments that you liked. I have a bunch of jokes I want to get to that made me laugh, but let's talk about like.
I mean, just really the whole vibe of the movie in general. It's been a while since I've gone to the theaters and just had a genuine good romp of a time.
Yeah.
I mean, coming close to that would maybe be like, heck, I don't even know when we saw Ready Player One, but even that was just
Yeah.
not
Not as good as
quite-
this.
Nowhere near.
Yeah. There's one thing I wanted to say. I thought I was really gonna hate Spider-Gwen in this movie. I thought she was going to show up and do what I call the Black Widow syndrome, where she's sort of like a giant Mary Sue who can do no wrong and comes down and gets our stupid male heroes' egos out of the way so they can learn how to get along or whatever. And they almost do that when we first see her, when they're escaping with the hard drive or whatever.
They paint her as just as awkward and just as like learning as Miles.
Yes, but also like
And putting them just about in the same camp.
yeah, so when I first saw it, like with Jay, as soon as like she shows up and she like webs them both up or whatever, like she saves them both from falling or whatever, I was like, oh god, here we go. Not that I have anything wrong with female empowerment, but I thought it's a cliche that I don't like.
But I'm with you.
Yeah.
As far as a trope as far as writing goes, it's a trope. It's lazy. I'm with you.
Yeah, and as the movie goes on, they don't do that at all, and I actually really appreciated that, and I actually really enjoyed her blossoming friendship with Miles. I thought that was actually really good. So yeah, this movie surprises me a lot with a bunch of characters that I thought were gonna like suck, and they actually were great. Yeah.
And it's still out. Go see it while you have the chance. Make it maybe go see it in the interim between Christmas and New Year's. Don't know when this is going to drop, but hey, man, it's a glowing endorsement by me, and I think all of the people here at the movie
It's
day.
good.
I'll put the J. Jackson mushroom stamp of approval on it.
Nice.
Verily, yea, verily.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, go see it and buy it when it comes out on Blu-ray so we can get a sequel.
And tell us what you think about it. Tell us what you think of this cast. Tell us what we can do more of. We want to
don't do any of
hear
that.
from
Don't listen.
you, audience.
No, do all the things he just said.
Subscribe and connect with us a little bit.
Yes, we're on YouTube and Podbean and the Podbean app. I think those are the same thing. And we're in Horizon Studios. Go like my studio on Facebook. It's Horizon Studios.
I'll do that
on
right now.
Oh,
Jay
thank you.
Jackson, do you have anything to plug?
I have. Boy, do I.
He has an internet.
Go ahead.
You have an internet show. Tell them about that. Solomon
I do,
mini
no,
series.
it's Grundy and Stone.
Grundy and Stone.
The date of this recording, the final episode of season 1 has dropped.
If you had to describe that show to someone who's never, I've watched like 2 of the episodes now. Like, if you had to describe that to someone who's never seen it, how would you describe it?
Lethal. I would describe it as Lethal Weapon, but more absurd.
Fair enough.
There's that. So I do have that web series going on. It's on my YouTube channel, Jay Jackson Entertainment. Jackson, several episodes as several different characters. The episode that dropped today, he's actually 2 different characters in the same episode.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fun stuff.
The line that will live forever in infamy is, "I don't have insurance for this shit."
I don't know. I think mine
The
is
man's a regular Marlon Brando, people.
I think my favorite Zach Sicking line in Grundy and Stone is, "Hey Sarge, wake up." I don't know. He gets to hit me on that one.
Bit parts.
Well,
So, but no, I've got that going. Well, the big thing I want to put out there is the regular shows that I'm doing now. Every 4th Friday we do a stand-up show at Guillermo's in West Village in West Little Rock. It's a great thing. You should actually come out and be a part of that. But I'm super excited about You Look Like, which happens every second Sunday at Hibernia Irish Tavern. Our current champion is
It's me, guys.
yeah.
I've been out on the comedy scene, winning championship
I've never
belts.
seen you burst with enthusiasm so quickly right then. It's me, everyone. It's me.
So,
It's the only
God,
other thing I'm
me.
excited about during the week, other than this podcast.
which should tell you how
And
big a deal
rewatching
this
Star Wars
is.
prequels.
Rob, you think you want to do You Look Like sometime? You want to be a competitor?
Probably not. I'm not really a good comedian
You
or
don't have to-
or a comedian
You don't
at
have
all.
to be a comedian. Like in
You-
February, we've got just like a regular person booked.
You've been known to be snarky.
That
can
is
be
true.
snarky.
I do have some impressive snark.
If you
What
can
is it
be
like? You make
snarky,
fun of people?
can be
There's some
honest.
snark on that
Yes.
bark, and it's rough.
The whole show is just written around one joke, and that joke is You Look Like. So,
Oh, so I could say Zach looks like Mark Maron's less achieving brother.
and yes,
Yeah, you certainly
and then
could.
Zach would be able to respond with,
I'd claim victory.
Rob, you look like it was tough for you in the early 2000s at the airports.
It was. I mean, it still currently is. We went to Colorado, and I was chosen for the random pat down. Of
course.
And I didn't even say anything about it. I was like, I get it. Let's get this over with.
but that's the whole show, and it's fun as shit. Every second Sunday at Hibernia is what we do. So
Yeah.
All right. So if we're good on plugs, that about does it here at Horizon Studios. This has been The Movie Date with Rob and Zach, a podcast for people who like movies but don't want to be too smug about it.
Yeah, baby.